Please be seated. Today, a wide community has gathered together in this sanctuary of worship, in this place where God is praised, where God is present with us. We are gathered to celebrate a life well lived. Last Thursday, Robert Konrad passed away at sunrise. The dawn, daybreak, the morning light. Rob passed away at sunrise. He moved from life to death at the time of illumination. In the Bible, Isaiah 60 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This will be our theme for this morning, as you see on the slide. Joy cometh in the morning. Rob filled our lives with warmth and compassion and laughter. Let us remember him and celebrate. In this hour and around the tables later, we shall be sharing stories and memories about Rob's incredible journey and the impact that he's had on almost every one of us. Robert George Konrad, son, brother, husband, brother-in-law, father-in-law, grandfather, uncle, cousin, neighbor, friend, church brother, mentor, volunteer, fellow trekker on the journey of faith. We, this large group of people that has gathered, have a diverse relationship with Rob. You came today because you have some type of a link. You are all warmly welcome here. Rob's family offers gratitude for your attendance. Months ago, in a hospital room, Rob Konrad asked me if I might lead a worship service. And he spoke very clearly to me. It will be a celebration of life instead of a funeral. Lois has reminded me this probably 20 times. It's a celebration of life. There's an emphasis here of a good life lived. And we emphasize that here today. Think about all of the celebration and all of the stories that will come in this hour. And then we will sing some songs, and they will have some energy, and they will become a part of our celebration. Joy cometh in the morning. There's a lot of joy and love and appreciation already in this sanctuary and all the visiting that had happened. So let's begin with a song. We're going to stand for this song, Praise to the Lord the Almighty. Take care of us, David.
God's Psalm 23, New International Version. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
My Opa, Robert George Konrad, was born on July 23, 1945, in Wheatley, Ontario, to parents George G. and Hilda Konrad. Opa, along with his older sister Edna and younger siblings Harvey and Evelyn, lived on a farm in Romney Township. The kids each had jobs on the farm, and Opa's included moving hay and collecting eggs. Farm life wasn't all about work, though. There was also time for fun, such as playing in the corn crib, on the manure pile, or up in the mulberry tree where each sibling had their own branch. Attending the one-room school on the corner of Zionside Road and the 5th Concession was not a highlight of Opa's childhood, apart from the good friends he had there. The group of them would gather with their bikes most Saturdays to play in the ditch, the straw pile, or the snow, depending on the season. An annual highlight as he grew up was Butchering Day. Opa always chose to stay home on this day to help his family, while his other siblings gladly went to school. All the local relatives and close friends would gather to help, and the day ended with a feast. It is easy to imagine how these types of events might have contributed to Opa's community-mindedness. The church community was also central to the Konrad family from the start. Opa attended Leamington United Mennonite Church with his family every Sunday, despite living a significant distance away. In addition to worship and Sunday school, Opa also participated in weekly choir practice and German school at the church. For high school, Opa attended UMEI along with his siblings. This was also a significant distance from the family. They had to give up a vehicle so that the kids could get to school. Partway through his time at UMEI, the family moved to a farm on No. 3 Highway in Mercy Township, making them significantly closer to both church and school, a relief for everyone. Opa graduated from UMEI in 1964 and was baptized that same year. Instead of going to grade 13, Opa took a 3-year course studying electronic technology at the Western Ontario Institute of Technology. For the first time in his life, he really enjoyed school. He moved to the YMCA in Windsor before winter came in his final year to be closer to the school. This is where he first crossed paths with my Oma, Lois Burgess, who was living at the YWCA. They started dating at this time and were married on June 22, 1968.
If you asked any one of us in the family to list some of Dad's personality traits, we would all very quickly talk about how frugal he was. Mom recalls how they lived off of chicken wings and hamburger in those early days because they were the cheapest foods. They eventually started to get pizza as well. It was also reasonably priced. After Mom and Dad were married, they spent a small time of largely living apart for different work opportunities. Dad began his 30-year career with IBM. He bought his first house with Mom in Tecumseh in 1971. Around that time, my brother Jim was born. I came next in 1972, and then Janet in 1973. In 1974, our whole family followed Dad to upstate New York while he continued his education with IBM on a 6-week course. Then, later in 1974, we moved to London, Ontario for a brief time while Dad continued to work for IBM there. In the spring of 1976, we moved to the farm on Highway 3 in Leamington. This is where Dad's parents, my Oma and Opa, were scaling down their farming operation and moving out of the old farmhouse. Dad wanted to raise his family on a farm in order to pass down some of the same lessons that he had growing up in that same environment. During that time, he maintained a full-time career with IBM while also farming on the side. So the farm was very much a whole family affair. My siblings and I have many stories to tell, especially about picking peppers by headlights of the truck before the school day began. We also started to drive farm equipment at a pretty young age. We worked hard all growing season, except for a week in the middle of August each year when we would rent a cottage in Stokes Bay to go hiking, swimming, fishing, exploring caves, and more. This week away every year was a highlight for the whole family. Dad genuinely enjoyed his career at IBM, and they were good to him and to our family. We remember IBM Christmas parties and trips to Boblo Island for the annual IBM picnic. Dad also enjoyed bringing home various obsolete or rejected electronics and tinkering with them to see if he could get them to work. Over time, he filled an old cow trough, which was the entire length of the big barn, with leftover electronic equipment. This was just one manifestation of Dad's collector's spirit. Throughout his life, he collected all kinds of things, including matches, keys, hats, coins, church bulletins. Dad struggled throughout his life due to his rheumatoid arthritis. He first got his diagnosis when he was 35, but he had actually been struggling with it since his 20s. He tried a variety of treatments over the years to varying degrees of success. He stopped farming around 1988, and by 1998, he was no longer able to do his work at IBM either, and he went on long-term disability leave before officially retiring. Travel was a big part of Dad's life. He took some trips around North America, both for work and for vacation with Mom, friends, and family. One work trip even took him to Brazil for 4 weeks, but Dad and Mom became more serious world travelers in 1993 when they took a trip to Australia and New Zealand for their 25th wedding anniversary. After he stopped working, Dad had the opportunity to visit a lot of places, such as India, Ukraine, Hawaii, Kenya, Italy, Germany, Cuba, Mexico, Nicaragua, Scotland, Ireland, and finally, he got to the Danube cruise just a year and a half ago. Mom was a constant companion on these trips, but they were often joined by other family and friends as well. Dad was also a dedicated volunteer, serving in various capacities with organizations that mattered to him, including MDS, MEDA, UMEI, the Leamington Mennonite Home, Thrift on Mill, MCEC, and more. He was known as a generous person, both with his time and his financial contributions. It was important to him to model generosity to his children and his grandchildren. Beyond this, Dad and Mom also got to know a lot of people through their volunteer work, and they consider them friends. He was also a dedicated member at this church, serving on many committees over the year and attending regularly, sitting in the second pew from the front in the center left. He also took pictures during the service each Sunday. Dad's biggest hobby in recent decades was woodworking, Woodworking was another outlet for his generosity. Everyone in the family has several things made by or fixed up by Dad. Tables, shelves, birdhouses, bed frames, picture frames, and more. In more recent years, Dad volunteered for Thrift on Mill. He would take any old wooden piece of furniture that was in rough condition, and he'd fix it up for them so that they could sell it. Before her passing, Dad's sister, my Aunt Ellie, helped him out with this. She had more of an artistic perspective than Dad, who was always more focused on function. They were a good team. Grandchildren started to arrive shortly after Dad stopped working, and this soon became a major focus of his life. Hayden and Kendra grew up in Leamington, and with two parents working full-time, Mom and Dad were important players in their upbringing. Dad helped get the kids ready for school and on the bus most days in those early years. He also drove them around endlessly to appointments, friends' houses, and school. My kids, Tyler, Quinn, and Ryan, had a different relationship with their Opa, living further away. Dad always prioritized maintaining a relationship with them, and it was really nice to see that flourish, especially in more recent years. When my kids were little, they would come stay with Dad and Mom for a few weeks in the summer to attend Vacation Bible School here in Leamington. Tyler also developed a unique relationship with his Opa when he came to live with Mom and Dad to attend UMI from 2020 to 2024. Dad drove carpool to and from UMI during these years for Tyler, and Tyler was new competition in the house to eat Oma's many treats, including caramel corn and cinnamon buns. Dad will always be remembered for every one of us for his quiet impact, steady generosity, and unwavering love for his family and community. We will miss his dry sense of humor and his practical wisdom.
Because you sang so well, you have the opportunity now to sing again. We want to sing Great is Thy Faithfulness, which the family holds dear to them. We want to stand together.
My name's Hayden, and I'm Opa's oldest grandkid. Opa was a pretty big part of my life for the 26 years that we overlapped here. When I was growing up, Opa played a big role in my upbringing, taking care of me and my sister Kendra often because both of our parents worked full-time. I have memories of him getting me ready in the morning and waiting at the bus stop with me before I went to school. I believe there's a story of a time he sent me to school in pajamas that I had worn the night before, not on pajama day, but I don't actually remember that. Kendra and I were lucky to have grown up near Oma and Opa. Tyler, Quinn, and Ryan live further away, so their relationship with Opa was fundamentally different. But Opa always made an effort to connect with each of us, and I know that each one of us had a unique relationship with him. Us grandkids have often been the recipients of Opa's generosity that has already been spoken about today. He often took us out for treats. We would go for pancakes at McDonald's when everyone was in town together. And on one extended family trip to Florida, we must have gone for McFlurries on average more than once per day, even though Kendra and I can now admit we were not particularly well behaved on that trip. We each also have asked Opa to make us things over the years, and he always said yes. Opa made some of us some special boxes when we were young to hold our little memories and treasures. He also built wagons that we would attach to our tricycles that we loved to play with at Oma and Opa's house. He has built us shelves, birdhouses, and bat boxes, and Kendra and Reed have a coffee table that is the last thing that Opa made just over a year ago. Opa also made a point of modeling generosity to us grandkids. For years, he has donated money in our names at Christmas to charities of our choice. I know that I've watched him volunteer a lot of his time throughout my life, and it makes me want to do the same. When I was young, Opa sometimes took me on little adventures to forage for asparagus out in the country somewhere. All of us have spent time with him in his garden, where he grew blackberries, raspberries, and gooseberries, which we all enjoy eating right from the garden or on ice cream. Tyler, Quinn, and Ryan have an offshoot of his gooseberry bush in their yard in Stouffville to always remind them of Opa. In recent years, I have gone to forage for mulberries with Opa. We both enjoy a free treat. We would bring a couple ladders to a very public path and pick them. I think we taught a few passersby about the berries along the path. Opa's interest in gardening and foraging contributed to my own love of nature. Opa was a thrifty kind of person, and other little adventures when I was young were to yard sales or to the etc. shop. Opa was also a collector, and he got me started on some of my own earliest collections: keychains, coins, and my own bin of random electronics. He has passed on his collector's spirit to many of us grandchildren. I have a record collection. Quinn likes to collect physical media at thrift stores. Kendra collects Scooby-Doo DVDs and ashtrays for some reason. And Ryan has recently started collecting fountain pens. Opa couldn't really say no to his grandchildren, and Kendra in particular liked to test the limits of this. Once, she grew a tree from a maple key and asked Opa if he wanted to plant it in his yard. He definitely did not have space for a maple tree, but he planted it anyway. It grew at a funny angle to avoid the shade from the neighboring tulip tree, and it had to be taken down a couple years ago. Kendra can also tell you about all the dead cats that Opa has helped her bury over the years. Most of these were our own cats, but one was just a cat she found that had been hit by a car. If the question is who can you call to help you with a dead body, Kendra would call Opa. Tyler's relationship with Opa changed when he came to live with Oma and Opa in 2020 to attend UMEI for all 4 years of high school. As was mentioned in the life story, Opa and Tyler now had to compete for Oma's treats, and Tyler discovered all the hiding places. Living in Leamington for our upbringings, Kendra and I have been driven around by Opa to appointments and friends' houses for years and years. We sometimes called his driving services Uber Opa. When Tyler was living here for high school, he kept Uber Opa in business as Opa drove his carpool from UMEI. Tyler also learned to drive himself while in Leamington and would sometimes get to drive Opa's car to youth group or to the store. We all have good memories of traveling with Oma and Opa as well. Along with our whole extended family trip to Florida and smaller getaways for Thanksgiving weekends to Niagara Falls, Grimsby, and Collingwood, our families have each been on separate trips with Oma and Opa to Florida and other places. In the last year or so, I've reflected a lot that Opa probably had more impact on who I have become than just about anyone other than my parents. The 5 of us grandkids will miss our visits with him, his sense of humor, and his generosity. As I have described, I think each one of us has personality traits that can be directly traced back to Opa, and in that way, little bits of Opa live on.
Good morning. What a beautiful day to celebrate the life of our father. And so many friendly faces in here too. He was a humble man, but he would be thrilled internally. When I started thinking about what to say today, I realized that trying to summarize my dad's life in a few minutes would be impossible. There are too many stories, too many lessons, and too many people whose lives he touched. But when I think about my dad, Robert, or Bob, as many of you may have known him, I keep coming back to the values he lived every day and the lessons he passed on without really ever trying to teach them to us. Our dad was a humble leader. He believed that words mattered. He listened more than he talked. He didn't need to be the loudest voice in the room to have impact. And I believe that people respected him because he treated people with respect, and because when he spoke, his words carried weight. He also believed in hard work. Some of my earliest memories involve learning that lesson. One of my first jobs was working with Uncle Vic in the tomato field behind our farmhouse. I was extremely young. I remember wanting a baseball glove. The one that my father had was falling apart. It wasn't going to suffice. The cost was about $15. Dad helped me to understand that if I wanted something, I could earn it. The lesson wasn't really about the glove. It was about learning the value of work and the satisfaction that comes from earning something for yourself. That same lesson showed up again one day when Dad paid me for some work I had done around the farm. I think it was about $5. He asked me how I wanted to be paid, and for some reason I told him I wanted to be paid in Canadian Tire money. Dad tried to explain to this young Jim that there might be some limitations to this plan, but I liked the picture of the Scottish gentleman on the front, and it looked pretty good to me, so I enforced that I wanted to be paid in Canadian Tire money, and he did. I immediately jumped on my skateboard and headed down Highway 3 to the convenience store at the corner of 37 and Highway 3 and tried to buy something. The lady at the counter got a hysterical laugh with this and explained for several minutes that you could not purchase what you were looking for at this store with Canadian Tire money. You would have to go all the way to Canadian Tire. I was frustrated. I made my long trip back home, which is uphill by Essex County standards, found my dad, and asked him if I could exchange it for real money. He laughed at me, made the trade, and let me learn the lesson myself. That was my dad's style. He taught us lessons through experience. He trusted people. In fact, sometimes he trusted people more than others thought he should. One of my favorite memories is being very young again and sitting in the seat of a full-sized Gleaner K combine that my father had just purchased. He had never taken it into the back fields, and there was a challenge of a very narrow bridge on our farm. He didn't know if the combine would fit across the bridge. My mother certainly wasn't convinced that this was a good plan, but my father put me in the driver's seat, standing up, showed me how to move it forward and stop it, and then crawled out of the cab down, went to the other side of the bridge, and started waving me across. While my mom watched in complete panic from the sidelines, somehow I managed to cross the bridge. My dad was ecstatic, told me to get out of the seat, and he jumped in and took off and did his business. Looking back, that story says a lot about Dad. He believed in people, and he was willing to invest the time to get to know you, as many of you here will know. He gave you responsibility, he trusted you, and because he trusted you, you learned to trust yourself. Dad was meticulous. He planned this entire event today, but just so everybody knows. Anyone who ever saw his files, books, records, or receipts knows exactly what I mean. If something happened 20 years ago, there's a very good chance Dad could find the paperwork to prove it. He believed in being responsible. He believed in managing what you had, make money, save money, buy what you need, and enjoy what you can afford and live within your means. Those lessons continue to guide our family today. But beyond all of that, I will remember most is his attitude. If you asked him how he was doing, the answer almost always was, excellent. Not because life was easy, not because there were not challenges, but because gratitude and positivity seemed to be his default setting. He gave us a moral compass that pointed in the right direction. He taught us how to work, how to treat people, and how to support family, and how to live with integrity. And family was always at the center of his life. Everything he worked for ultimately came back to the people that he loved. His children, his grandchildren, his family. He gave extremely generously, not only financially, but with his time, his encouragement, his wisdom, and his support. One of the blessings of the past year is that there was time for conversations, reflection, faith, and relationships. There were opportunities to reconnect, to share memories, and to spend time together, and to learn about him and his life. Not every family gets that gift, and we as a family are very grateful. There is one final story that I want to share. In Dad's final days during his 13th round of chemotherapy, he still wanted to be outside. He loved his garden. One day he took his wheelbarrow, his shovel, his rake, and his hoe out to work on his garlic, gooseberries, blackberries. These were some of his favorites. I knew things were changing for the worse as I looked out during an evening visit and realized his wheelbarrow and tools had not come back in that evening. Now, to most of us, that wouldn't mean much, but to me, it meant everything. Dad never left things unfinished. The next day, it was still there. The day after that, it was still there. And in that moment, I knew that something had really changed. I knew that the fight was becoming harder. Eventually, I put the wheelbarrow away and hung up the tools under the deck for him. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Not because of the wheelbarrow, but because I knew of what it represented. Yet even then, Dad was still doing what he loved. He was outside, still maintaining his garden, and still being himself. We lost a great man and a truly humble leader. And our family is not the only family feeling that loss. Dad touched many lives over the years. Thank you to all those that took the time to reach out and connect with my father in this final year. We as a family are extremely grateful. This year is riddled with a very long list of heroes. My father's legacy isn't found in a single accomplishment. It's found in the values that he lived every day. Work hard, listen carefully, be responsible, trust people, and love your family. And whenever possible, we may choose to answer the start of a new day the same way that Dad did. How are you doing? Excellent. Dad, thank you for everything that you gave us, especially your time, trust, and support. We love you, we will miss you, and we will carry your examples of how to live and enjoy life with us every single day. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those reflections. We want to sing again. The song is In the Garden. We're going to stay seated, and our singers will be leading us, or soloists, it's a combination. We join in on the chorus and we sing verse 3. Stay seated.
I come to the garden alone when the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'd stay in the garden with him, though the night around me falling, but he bids me go through the voice of woe, his voice to me is calling. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
John 15, 5-17, New International Version. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command: love each other. John 14, 1-3. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, Would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am.
I've been humbled already by listening to the family talk about Rob. Very moving. So good morning, everyone. It is without doubt an honor for me to speak here at the celebration of the life of my friend, or our friend, Rob. I pray that somehow I can approach justice to the task. To those whom Rob loved the most, Lois and Jim and Marielle, Julie and Michael, Janet, Kevin, along with grandchildren, Hayden, Kendra, Quinn, and Ryan, we gather here to celebrate the life of an Opa, a dad, and a husband. Someone who gave you life, who gave your life meaning, has died. Someone who brought you joy has died, and someone who gave you love has died. Perhaps even someone who gave your life is gone. No matter how much you may have prepared yourself, you are not quite prepared. No matter how many words you may have shared, there were things you did not get to say. No matter how much pain you may have endured already, you are being called upon to endure even more. Someone who has been part of your days on earth no longer walks the earth with you. Life is not the same, and it hurts. May God join us here in the hour of worship and celebration. It was in 17th century England that poet and clergyman John Donne wrote in a meditation, and you're probably familiar with some words that come from this. You're familiar with the phrase, "No one is an island," and another one that is, "For whom the bells toll." I want to read the last few lines of that. "Each person's death diminishes me, for I am involved in humankind. Therefore, send not to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for me." Rob heard the bell as dawn was unfolding early on Thursday, the 21st of May. And there at sunrise, the bell tolled for me as well. Indeed, it tolled for all of us. A timeless reminder of our shared humanity. His last breath diminished me as well, despite what he added to my life. In God's wisdom and compassion, God created the world as a web of connections in which all of us claim a spot. From there, all human experiences, including loss and suffering, touch all on the web. So it is that Rob's death diminishes me, for I too am part of that web. In the Gospel of John, Jesus compares himself to a vine, and he calls us all branches. All are connected to God. And I believe it is within that connectedness that Rob's life bore fruit. Not sure Rob was humble, or maybe humble always, yet he unabashedly took his position in the family, extended relatives, church, his street on Queen's Hill, with beauty and benevolence. He stood ungraced by pride and arrogance or a sense of accomplishment. If you wanted Rob, you needed to look for him sometimes. He was not center stage, He was not the loudest most of the time, nor the most flamboyant. Usually on the sidelines, he was doing his thing. Some might refer to him as the quiet contributor, an unsung hero of his world. Well, Rob thought deeply. He listened when he spoke. If needed, his mind sought solutions to problems that he encountered or ones brought forward to him by others. I visited Rob often in the past year. Each visit was meaningful. When I was in his home, I never saw a wall which had all Rob's medals and accolades hung. Accolades that could display his fame and glory. But I think that wall doesn't exist. You have to look beyond the wall to find his legacy. Rob is understood largely by listening and watching him and noting what he does. And we've heard that already from comments from the family. Look for his passion. Pay attention to his demeanor, his deportment, how he saw the world. Watch what he values. Those who did so were changed by the friendship forged with him. Rob made a difference in those he encountered. Look for the vines and the threads connected to him in his world. Rob was a man of faith. The biblical story reminds us that connection is what we are made for. The biblical story offers hope that despite the inevitable pain of disconnection, living our true identity and connection brings us wholeness. Am I flattering Rob too much? Was Rob the poster boy for Christian world? Of course not, yet his thinking and the direction of his life seemed to parallel our Christian calling. So I'd encourage us to pay attention to lives lived by persons like Rob. Subtly you will learn. Subtly your life and thinking might change. Rob moved about, making his world, I think, a bit better than the one he inherited. A true legacy is for his family and his friends. And I would say especially for his grandkids. Jesus chose ordinary persons as disciples. Not high-ranking, flashy, somewhat mundane. He did not look for the highly educated, the wealthy, or religiously elite of his time. Thinking about Rob and what I want to say, I wonder if Rob shared a calling with a fisherman on the Sea of Galilee. Passing alongside the Sea of Galilee, Jesus saw Simon and Andrew, the brother of Simon, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And Jesus said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you become fishers of men." I wonder, would Rob have eagerly picked up his nets and followed? In the Old Testament, when the prophet Samuel went to anoint the next king of Israel, the father Jesse didn't bother to bring his youngest son David to him. After all, he was the youngest and least likely candidate of Jesse's sons. Could it have been that God chose Rob, hard worker, average, customary, and so on, not exclusive or privileged or chosen and the like? Was Rob always destined to be a change agent? Quiet, methodical logic, and always framed in love. Was it Rob's deep inherited love that drove his compassion, his creativity, his work ethic, his fathering? Maybe God did choose Rob, and we are the better for it. Now who will replace him? Back to the vines. To which vine was Rob attached? What were the threads that pulled him? Editha, a Tanzanian milk farmer, faced unpredictable milk prices. And Mida, Mennonite economic Development, there we go, thank you, Association partnered with a local dairy to help Editha. Rob and Lois were champions for MEDA, organizing local chapters and attending annual MEDA conventions throughout Canada and the U.S. The mission was a connecting vine for Rob. And Rob was passionate about relics collected for the Rob Museum in his basement, mostly from the home farms. Another vine. By the way, despite the hundreds of relics and antiques, Rob maintained he was not a hoarder. And pleasantly, Rob did not charge admission. He was frugal, but he didn't charge admission to anyone. Rob was passionate about the mission house on Peely Island, too. He was nostalgic over Peely. He fashioned some keepsakes from some of the wood there. This vine connected him to the marriage altar of his parents. Rob served on the boards of UMI and LUMC, and in the role of chair, Rob valued UMI's teaching and the faith community that raised him. This thread held. On some of their more distance travels, Lois tells me, Lois and Rob apparently sought out local breweries. I said breweries. They didn't like being touristy, okay? Anyway, they sought out local brewery. Well, that's fine, but they looked to sample some of the beer that was native to that area. It was a passionate link to locals. Oh, and what was done there stayed there. No one could see them from here anyway. Rob was convinced he had a green thumb, even though not all seedlings or plants or bushes agreed. Passionate, we've heard this already too, passionate about gooseberries and gifted raspberry plants and so on, although the raspberry plants sadly didn't thrive and were replanted elsewhere, regifted. A minor failure. And then mulberries. He would pay you if you could tell him where a mulberry tree stood. The value would depend. He scouted for fruitful mulberry trees like the ones he climbed on his farm as a kid. And there were, I was thinking here in this community, there were always tomato festivals. Yet never, I don't recall ever a mulberry or gooseberry festival. And I think Rob missed the title of King Mulberry or Gooseberry Konrad. Rob forged a strong relationship with IBM, his employer, for most of his career. He was the one people called at the customer service desk when they needed a repair or when their technology would not work, when the on button didn't respond. Rob needed to find out why. And I understand that he endured the wrath of some disillusioned and heated techies calling IBM very colorful names. And maybe he was targeted too. If Rob's calling at IBM to not only service customers, but he was also asked to gently lower the temperature in the room when the irate people called. Not only was Rob involved and faithful to our church, LUMC, he kept abreast of happenings in both our provincial and national church bodies. Rob was a pilgrim with us, and we can proudly say that here at LUMC. The vine survived, and the web and the threads held. God's love bolstered Rob as he went about as an ordinary person, doing what we can regard at times as greater than ordinary tasks. God's love held Rob. Rob embodied that love. Parker Palmer encourages us all to be passionate about some part of the natural or human world and take risks on behalf of it, no matter how vulnerable it makes you feel. Rob would have agreed. Rob's hands were plagued by rheumatoid arthritis from early on. But what is termed a limitation, Rob saw as a challenge. Rob knew that clinging only to what you already know is the path to an unlived life, not a path he wanted to follow. And Rob embarked on a journey last spring. For 13 months and 13 rounds of chemo treatments, Rob lived a miracle and offered it to his family to be celebrated. In the spring of 2025, Rob was diagnosed with a terminal sickness that eventually contributed to his death. What was initially a more immediate death sentence soon lay in abeyance for months, as he felt good on many days. Another chance for Rob, and he took it. He had more time to enjoy his family, time to prepare for his pending transition. For 13 months, he lived fully aware that something, perhaps his regimen of medication or something, kept him breathing. And all that could change without warning. And it did. Every time I visited him over these 13 months, almost always, no matter what the topic was, he would say, "It'll be okay. All is good." But Bob, it'll be okay. Walking with him through these months, I was struck by his almost stubborn hope and with his strong intention to keep on living. And I wondered often how I would respond if it was me sitting there. We are at times gifted a sacred moment in the company of the dying. Julie experienced that during his last night of life. She has noted her feelings, thoughts, and suppositions in words under the title, "The Last Night with Dad." A keepsake treasure left by a parting soul, a holy piece of memory. From that, a couple words. Shortly after she arrived to take her post for the night at Bob's bedside, she indicated that he began to stir. He was sick on and off for a bit, but the nurse quickly medicated his discomfort so he could rest again. Shortly after midnight, the situation changed. And this time, Julie writes, it was quieter, almost sacred. His eyes opened. They fluttered as he was trying to find rest. Then Rob began to speak. His voice soft, his words muffled. Julie thought he was having a conversation. Not with her, but with someone else. Julie surmised maybe, just maybe, and we all imagine in times like this, maybe it was Aunt Ellie, her aunt who passed away not many years ago, Rob's sister, Evelyn. But it all seemed peaceful and purposeful. Knowing Rob and his sense of humor, maybe what she was hearing was a conversation, negotiation between God and Rob, wanting a room in the mansion with a better view. In retrospect, a few hours before his passing, Bob became agitated again. His breathing became heavier and labored. Julie writes, it was as though he had run a long race and was completely exhausted, trying to pull in air, but not being able to. She thought perhaps it would not be long. Thank you for sharing this very spiritual experience, Julie. When I read Julie's reference to race, I imagined the words of the familiar passage in 2 Timothy jumping out of the text and being embodied here by Rob. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith. Rob saw the checkered flag that is sought by all racers. It is finished. Visiting with Rob, I often shared some articles or I read from some songs. I often shared words during the from a song that Rob had often joined our congregation in singing. And Rob and I chose not to sing the song. We would read the words. And the two of us singing a duet together may not have helped his health. From the song Living Hope, one that is important to him and also very important to me, these few words reference Jesus' resurrection. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared, the grave has no claim on me. Rob held to this promise. It was sealed for him too. And we too can hear the roaring lion declare that the grave has no claim on me. To close, I want to mention too the strength and determination to make Rob's last year as comfortable as possible that Lois and other family members sought. It was all God's love that you shared. Rob enjoyed nature. He enjoyed birds. And I'd like to share in closing a few words written by Victor Hugo describing a bird in flight going home. And it pauses in a few branches. I always explain it because I don't catch on right away. A few words from describe a bird in flight going home. It pauses on a few branches. And when they no longer can hold the bird continues because it has wings. Be like the bird that, pausing in her flight, a while on boughs too slight, feels them give way beneath her, and yet she sings, knowing that she hath wings.
A very special treat is coming to us. I'd ask for men to come forward. Rob asked that there be a male quartet at his celebration of life. Neither Erwin nor myself nor Rob would have been involved. So we found some wonderful singers who are going to give us a gift. The song is "This Is Not My Home."
This world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. My treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blue. The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. They're all expecting me, and that's one thing I know. I fixed it up with Jesus many years ago. I know he'll take me through, though I am weak and poor. and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Just over in glory land we'll live eternally. The saints on every hand are shouting victory. Their songs of sweetest praise drift back from heaven's shore, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore.
Thank you very much. Robert Konrad was a practicing Christian man. His life was full of faith. He integrated that into social justice and concerns for the world. He showed love to neighbors and strangers, and he stayed aware of global issues so that he could be on the side of healing and not on the side of hurt. Rob attended worship in this congregation, and I think you know Michael, you're sitting in his reservation seat. Rob wasn't a person who would deliver a sermon in this congregation, but he was an amazing mentor to anyone who paid any attention and observed how he was living his life. In his days of illness in the past few months, I had a number of visits with Rob, and he challenged me each time. So, ask anything, he said. So one day I said, Rob, what happens after death? Easy one, eh? We had an amazing conversation. I won't remember any of the exact details, but I do know that we spent a lot of time on two things, on darkness and light. And we talked for a long time. Rob and I held hands and agreed that we're headed into the light. Psalm 104, the Lord wraps himself in light. Another time I visited Rob, and again he said, you can ask me anything. Oh, he was in a bed, he couldn't run away. So I said, before you leave this earth, Rob, do you have anything to confess? Boy, did he start laughing. Randy, you're talking about the wrong denomination, the wrong religion. We don't do that, do we? Deathbed confessions. And so I said, yeah, I don't think we do. And then he laughed bigger than the earlier laugh and said, we could make some stuff up. Rob and I and Lois, in between some memory sharing and some good laughing, faced some very serious conversations around the bed. And I'm really glad that we did that. What I want to say here in front of this church, his church, is that Rob Konrad is okay. He kept saying he was okay. But to declare it here at his celebration of life is really important. He's okay. He's better than okay. We have a biblical promise about being cared for in life and after death. Rob knew about these promises, and he's benefiting right now. Family and friends, as you grieve, please know that Rob is at peace. And you who will miss him, you will be comforted by God. Let's pray together. Dear God of life and death, this congregation, this community has gathered today to celebrate the life of Robert Konrad. We've gathered to surround Rob's family and friends who are mourning. We've gathered to sing and cry and laugh together. God, we thank you for your presence here. We thank you for the peace that you provide and the love that you give us. God, we thank you for the way you have ushered Rob into your heavenly presence. In fact, God, if I can word this very carefully, we hope that you are enjoying Rob right now as much as we did when he was here with us. God, thank you for the messages that we've heard today, for the way in which we have bonded together here. And God, when you call us, we pray that there is also a sunrise, a joy that cometh with the morning for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We're going to sing again a closing song, and then there will be a blessing afterwards. So we'll stand to sing this, and it's Be Strong in the Lord.
Be strong in the Lord and be of good courage. Your mighty defender is always the same. Mount up
remain standing. The one announcement is that we are having a luncheon in the auditorium. Ushers will help us, and we'll move out the family out first, and then ushers will guide us. You're all invited to a lunch and a time of sharing, and there will be some instructions when we're there. And now, words of blessing. May God bless you. May the lessons of this celebration grow in your heart. May God's Spirit comfort you and allow you to rest as you need restoration. May the weight of loss be carried by you in a healthy way, and when it is heavy, may you find ways to share the burden. May joy and peace fill the emptiness that comes with your grief. May calmness be the majority, and may sorrow be the minority. May you hear gentle whispers of great hope that is here now and is the future to come. May the guiding Spirit of Jesus be like a tenderness that wraps you warmly, like an MCC comforter made with love. May the routines without Rob be less painful in the days to come, and may you find ways to know that you are not alone. May tears become less, may hope grow, may your family and friends embrace you. And may the peace of Christ, who passes all understanding, be with all of you now and forevermore. Amen.